of Quran, don't you have a self-sense of yourself that all these all these terrorism happen to the world? It'll come from Quran, and people, they are doing it according to Quran. This is my question. And I'm not saying that you have to abandon Islam. Be Muslim, but think about your eternity. Eternity in Quran, I challenge you, if you can show me a one word, it says there's salvation, the end of you, when you leave this world, and you're going to go straight in heaven with Muhammad, according to Quran. But I challenge you 1,000,000%. If you are a pure Muslim, you're satisfied with your religion, show me one word that is going to be a safe place for you, particularly you, Brother Anjem, because you sound very nice guy and you talk very logical. And believe me, I am satisfied with you as a humanity. You are my brother in humanity. And I feel sorry for you, not because you are Muslim. Your brain is being filled with nonsense, because think about your eternity, Brother Anjem. Think about your eternity. Where are you going to go after when you leave this world?
Okay.
After when you leave this world. Forget about all these things happen. Think about yourself. And I challenge you, if you are really pure Muslim, show me one word in Quran it says you will be saved with me while you kill somebody and kill yourself and kill innocent people with you. You are welcome in my heaven. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. Anjem, did you hear that question?
You know, I think that, you know, a question is only really a question if it has an answer. And, you know, I think your guest, he wasn't really making a question there. He was really on a bit of a rant, you know. And at the end of it, I think what he's saying is, what does it say in the Quran that if you engage, for example, in a martyrdom operation or engage in jihad, that Allah will give you Jannah? You know, and I would say to him, look, for example, in chapter Tawbah, I believe verse 9:111, where Allah said in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن الله اشترى من المؤمنين أنفسهم وأموالهم بأن لهم الجنة يقاتلون في سبيل الله فيقتلون ويقتلون. He said, Allah has purchased from the believers their life and wealth, and in return He has promised them paradise. They kill others and are killed. This is the main verse that people use in order to sacrifice their life for the sake of the jihad. But obviously there has as well, you know, explanation. For example, some of the Mufassirin said that if you jump among the enemy, hoping to take some of them, you know, in order to, you know, fight when you're in the battlefield and you die, for example, one person among 1,000, then that is the way you sacrifice your life for the sake of Allah. But remember, the jihad is not just about killing yourself. And the other thing I would say to him is that, yes, of course, when I look at the Quran and I hear the verses, it has an impact upon me, on my heart, upon my mind, you know, and obviously it will affect me a lot. And that is one of the things, you know, which inclines me towards it. But I don't just rely upon, you know, something which is not tangible. I also look at the Quran. I know, for example, the Quran was written down contemporaneously. It was copied. People memorize it. It's very easy to remember, which is why your priest, obviously, the one who, you know, who said he used to be a Muslim, can recite some of the verses of the Quran, because it's very easy to remember. It's not like the Bible, apart from the fact that people are changing the Bible all the time. You cannot really remember it as well, you know, and he can even, you know, melodiously recite it. So those are some of the things which make me convinced about the Quran, but there are many others as well. The complete solution, how is it a book, just 6,600 odd verses, was able to give a constitution and provide solutions for humanity from the time of the Prophet all the way to today, and will indeed until the Day of Judgment. Whereas if you look at the laws, for example, in America and Britain, you only need to go to the House of Commons and you find rooms full of laws, and yet they cannot make up their mind about simple ways in which to organize the society. This is the judicial miracle of the Quran, which, you know, having studied law after I studied medicine, I can tell you Islam is far superior to the judiciary in Britain, in America, and in other parts of the world, because it provides solution, and it does not need to keep changing because it is perfect.
Okay, let me turn it over to Pastor Hisham for your comments.
First, I want to clarify the comment about Brother Kamal that the rules of battle are different from the rules of peace. The Prophet of Islam, when he attacked the Jews in Khaybar, took Safiya for his wife after killing her father and brother and husband. So he called her the mother of the believers, and they have a justification for that because he wanted to free her brothers and cousins, etc. But imagine somebody mourning the death of his father, brother, and husband, 17 years old, to be taken as a wife. That's, I mean, really, sorry to say, rape. I want really to go to the gist of the matter, really, to jihad again. And because we really drifted from the subject. And this is very important because it bears in our life today. Muhammad was persecuted in Mecca, then he moved to Medina, became there a king and a warrior and a prophet, quote unquote, at the same time. He conquered most of Arabia. Then his first successor, Abu Bakr, had to fight thousands of Muslims because they denied him zakat. They refused to give him the alms, which is a pillar of Islam. So he killed thousands of Muslims because they refused to give him zakat, you know. Then Umar, the second successor of Muhammad, I'm talking about a legacy here, a legacy. Anjem and the other brother, they are fighting against history, against the legacy of Islam. Umar, Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam said, if there is a prophet after me, it will be Umar. And Umar, 3 statements of his ended up in the Qur'an. This is a very well-known fact. Let's not mix fiction with fact here. Umar, when he took over, he decided to cleanse Arabia of non-Muslims. He cleansed Arabia, and he said the Arabs are the material of Islam. Al-Arab maddatul Islam. So instead of fighting each other, they can fight their neighbors. So instead of raiding each other, let's raid their neighbors. So they went out in raids. And it's not only Umar. Muhammad at his deathbed sent Ghazwat al-Usra, led by Osama bin Zayd, to the frontiers of Syria. So Umar, when he took over, there is something called al-Uhd al-Umariyya, the Pact of Umar. Christians are not allowed to refurbish churches. They are not allowed to maintain their church. Churches have to die down. There are many things are retained from the days of Umar. He's not responsible for all the articles in Al-Uhd al-Umari. As a historian, I know that they were added later, but it's called after him because he drove every non-Muslim out of Arabia. And even though he refused to pray in Kanisat al-Qiyamah, the Church of the Resurrection, however, he put restrictions on Christians so that they will not be able to share the gospel with the Muslims. So persecution has been there since Islam started. And what we see in Egypt today, Christians cannot really build new churches, even though they are multiplying, while mosques are coming up like mushrooms, you know. I'm not against building mosques, but I'm saying there are no equal rights because of a legacy of Islam.
We have to move on. We only have a few minutes left here on the show. I want to pose one of my last questions to Rahman. If Islam conquers and rules the world, Rahman, tell me, or can you just give me one example? We only have a couple minutes left on the show. One example how all of mankind would be treated fairly under Islamic law. Rahman, are you still with us?
Hello?
Yes. Did you hear the question? We only have a couple minutes left on the show. I wanted you to give me one example, if Islam were to rule the world today. Give us one example of how mankind would be treated fairly under an Islamic empire.
Are you speaking to the caller?
No, I'm speaking to our guest, Rahman. If he's not there, I will pose the question to Anjem. Go ahead, Anjem. You can go ahead and take that question for us, and then I will we'll end the show.
You know, when you talk about fairness is only according to the Sharia. You know, you've got to have a look at the definition of these terms. For us, oppression is anything against the command of God, and justice is whatever God legislates. So fairness and justice is not according to what you think or I think or what we feel Otherwise, every single person is going to have their own dimension and their own criteria to what is fair and what is just. So we look to the Qur'an. The Qur'an says that fairness within society is for the Muslims, obviously, to have their own law that they have to abide by. And as Brother Mizanur Rahman quite rightly said, there are certain laws where they differ with non-Muslims, and there are certain laws which are applicable to both. So, for example, both of them will be punished for adultery, for fornication, for rape, for stealing, etc. Whereas a non-Muslim is not obliged to pray, and he would not be forced to become Muslim. But the Muslim, on the other hand, he will be punished if he does not pray, and so on. So, fairness and justice according to the divine law of God, not according to our own whims and desires. And therefore, what I would say as well is that, there are many people who want to make, for example, equality between the two genders. Islam does not have a gender war. We believe in complete distinction of responsibility and duty for both the male and the female. But that does not mean that in the eyes of God, they are not equal. Everyone is equal in the eyes of God. And we all have an opportunity to worship Him in this life. So, I would urge all Muslims and non-Muslims once again, and your Christian listeners, and you, of course, as well, Sama, to think about Islam as an alternative. I know there's a few, little digs here and there, against Muslims on your program. And similarly, we also respond. But I think at the end of the day, all of us should supplicate to God to guide us to the truth. And if we are already upon the truth, then to confirm us in it. And if not, to guide us to the truth in order to worship Him in this life and to achieve benefit and salvation in this life and in the hereafter, which is, I think, what we all want. We all want benefit and goodness in this life and to be saved on the Day of Judgment. I believe that is Islam, and I believe that that is something which should be good for you. But, I'm happy to debate and discuss, and I always appreciate the fact that you invite me onto your program and give me an opportunity to speak and to, clarify, I think, many of the misconceptions that people have nowadays about Islam and the Muslims.
And we're always open to open the flows of debate here. Kamal, I want to give you the last word, and then we have to end the show. 2 minutes.
Well, again, Islam is not religion of peace, and we have to be aware of confusion. Islam, with our world standard today and worldview, and Islam does not have even its own religion equality between women and men, and between non-Muslim and Muslim, and with this, it's itself hypocrisy.
Okay. Thank you, Kamal. Thank you, Anjem. Thank you, Rahman. And thank you, Pastor Hisham, all for joining us this evening. We will be back in 2 weeks from tonight, so stay tuned for that. Also, stay tuned tomorrow night, Pastor Joseph on News and Views at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. And again, a final note for this Friday's debate at 8 p.m. Eastern between Robert Spencer and Imam Mustafa Zayed. That's 8 p.m. this Friday night. We sure appreciate you joining us here on Jihad Exposed. We hope you have a great night, and we'll see you next time.
Jihad has come to America.
Constitutes the most devastating series of terrorist attacks in history.
The only deen Allah accepts is al-Islam. And whoever seeks any other deen apart from Islam will never be accepted.
Allahu Akbar! We stand together to win the war against terrorism.